Chronological Bible in a Year, day 183. Today we're going to look at one of my favorite strange, silly, but also quite deep stories. A few days ago, we saw God tell Elijah that he was to anoint some new kings and a new prophet. One of those men was Elisha, who was to become prophet after Elijah. And he was said that those who escaped the swords of the kings would meet the sword of Elisha. Now, which brings us to one of our earlier stories of Elisha and just some bizarre circumstances. Elisha isn't that far into his role as this primary prophet, and he's on his way to Bethel. Now remember, Bethel and Dan are the two cities in the northern kingdom of Israel, where after the schism, they built the two altars to the false gods. This is a place that is very heavily influenced by the idolatry of Israel. And as Elisha is on his way up, these young men were told, some places will call them children. We know there are enough of them, and they're old enough to be considered a threat. And they start taunting him, calling him bald. Go on up, you baldy. Go on up, bald man. But he calls a curse on the children, and two bears come out and maul them. Now, this is a weird story. Why is God enabling this guy to have these people mauled by bears? Well, here are a few key things you need to remember that's going on. The first being he is on his way to a place filled with idolatry. Second, Elijah's call that led to God finding Elisha was, they have killed all your prophets. I'm the last one living. The prophets were marked for death by these idol worshipers. They were hunting down and killing the prophets. And so now we see Elisha, who just watched Elijah disappear, taken by God, feels this threat by these people. He knows he can't take them, and so he calls on God for help, and God protects his prophet. God deserves praise. God deserves glory. And the prophets were the one who reminded us in our evil to turn to him. And so God is protecting the prophet. But we also can see that God works in ways we can never imagine. I used to love asking people, where did the bears come from? Did the bears just appear out of nowhere? Were they already in the woods and God just gave them a new mission? Were they somewhere else and God picked them up and dropped them here? Or did Elisha just have two pet bears on retainer that he just gave a whistle? I would love to know, where do you think the bears came from? What's your read on it? That's a fun question. God protects those who are advancing the gospel. But we also just saw God take one of those who is advancing God's kingdom. God took Elijah, and now God protects Elisha. So we have to understand God works in multiple ways. How can we find contentment and mission inside of God's plan? I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next in the life of Israel and Judah and the kings and the prophets. But until then, God bless.